What's up, SVSers? Welcome back to another SVS Audiophile Happy Hour. You might notice a little bit of a different setup we have going on here.
I feel left out, Nick.
Gary, we invited you.
You put me in my room. I'm in a timeout.
Well, we're still happy to be with you virtually, even if you can't be here in our Youngstown, Ohio headquarters. You may notice our backdrop here. We have an SVS demo system. I'm here, of course, with our Director of Technology, Ed Mullen. Ed, how are you?
Doing great, Nick.
Great. And
had a fun day shooting videos all day.
We had lots of special projects today, so it was exciting. And then, of course, our National Training Manager, Larry Magoo. Larry, how are you?
I am great, sir. We spent yesterday traveling and setting up for today, and we've been shooting some fun content for all of you that will be coming soon.
Can you believe they let me out of my cage? Look at this.
I'm shocked.
The Three Stooges.
This is the first time I've seen Ed in person in almost 3 years.
I know.
So it's pretty exciting.
Very exciting. And, of course, our leader, Gary Kubin. Gary, how are you this evening, President of SVS?
I am truly feeling left out. I was telling Nick as we were framing this up right before the broadcast. I feel like I've been left out of a fun party, but maybe it wouldn't be as much fun if I were there. So it's okay.
Now, how could that be possible?
Nobody would say that, right? Yeah.
Never.
No, but all seriousness, I've been looking forward to this, and I know Nick, you guys have all been, because you're in Ohio together. You're making informative videos, I know, and I wanted to be there, but I'm flying out. I'll talk a little bit about it when we talk about content in a little bit. I'm flying out to Vegas tomorrow, so I couldn't do it. But I know you had a very productive day today, and now we get to have a fun happy hour. Are you guys drinking over there? I see a bottle of something.
Yeah, this is Old Crow.
We have to take a shot after every video.
Top shelf bourbon. Replaced Wild Turkey.
That's right.
And it was full earlier in the day, so.
Not true.
Why do they always name these things after birds?
It's a great question, but you can see the decanter's full over there, so we haven't been imbibing.
We don't know why it was here, but we thought it was a good
where it came from. It just showed up.
Yeah, but back to the broadcast here. For anyone who might be joining us for the first time on our SVS Audiophile Happy Hour, we have fun here. We just basically talk a lot about audio, and we'll have 4 awesome giveaways that will happen randomly throughout the broadcast, where we'll announce a name. We'll get your information, contact you behind the scenes, and then ship you out an awesome product. And all you got to do to be eligible, leave a comment. 1 comment, you're eligible. It doesn't matter if you leave 100. You still get 1 entry. We choose at random. And Larry, what do we got on tap today for our giveaways?
You did say 4, and so here are the 4. So we're going to kick things off with a pair of Prime Bookshelf speakers, followed up by an SB-1000 Pro Subwoofer, then a pair of Prime Wireless Bookshelf speakers, and then to round out the night, it's going to be a PB-2000 Pro with a SoundPath Subwoofer Cable to hook all that up.
Very nice.
That's pretty excellent. So look forward to giving those away. Listen up for your name as we proceed here, and you may be the winner. So we're going to stick with tradition and go through what we've been tuning into, but we actually have a couple other cool things that we're going to be diving into. One of them that's very near and dear to my heart because it's my home theater. I actually saw a couple comments on there who may have seen some of the pictures from Instagram, but we'll get into that a bit later. And for now, let's just talk a little bit about what we've been tuning into. And Gary, I'm going to kick it to you first. And I know you had a very cool trip planned for this weekend, so I'm interested to hear about it.
I've been kind of deep in work and haven't had good opportunities to tell you guys about new demos I've heard, but I am very stoked. And I also thought it was kind of a fun thing. I've been doing this for a long time, and I think everyone who's in the audio/speaker space, we all kind of know each other. And, on a certain level, we're competitors. So SVS is competitor with Origin Acoustics, which is a more integration-based speaker company, really great company. And their founder and CEO, Jeremy Burkhart, is a buddy of mine. And actually, Jeremy stepped up and bought 10 first-row tickets to a Red Hot Chili Peppers show in Vegas. And I'm one of the 10 that got invited. I know, right? I'm one of the 10 that got invited. So I'm bolting for Vegas tomorrow night and going to see Red Hot Chili Peppers live. And to me, I know people disputed this when I said it. I think they're the greatest live band on the planet.
Wow. Well, that's going to be a fun show. And hopefully your company is as fun. And I know they got that full agenda for you out there in Sin City. So
it's a guy trip. I don't do guy trips, so we're going to see how I do in this.
Lots of time by the pool.
Traveling around with 10 guys. I don't know.
Any other recommendations, or are you sticking with that one for this week?
I mean, I will say, if you get a chance, go see them. They're doing a stadium tour. You can get in.
All right. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Ed, what have you been watching here and listening to recently?
I'm really impressed, Jason, our graphics designer. Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
The original one, the anime one.
Not the John Cho one.
Not the new one. We drilled into that 2 days ago and watched the first few episodes, my son and I, and I love it. It's great. The music's good. It's just got a incredible vibe to it, so I'm enjoying
Is it 5.1?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a deep cut for you there. Anime and Ed Mullen. I would never expected it, but brings a family together. What's better? Well, I have a nostalgic pick here. It actually was on in my hotel room last night, so I can't say much about the sound, but The Great Outdoors with John Candy, one of my favorite all-time summer movies, and anytime it's on, it's hard for me to turn away. I just love John Candy, so definitely recommend it for a good family flick on the weekends. And I mentioned it the last broadcast, but Westworld, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but the way they use sound to help sort of drive the plot in this new season has been really interesting. And I know it gives a lot of workout to all the different channels. So it's a fun one. If you're not watching Westworld, then check it out. And then finally, I've been on a old school country music kick for some reason. I don't know why, but Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings. It does. It's sort of like get the itch. I put it on, I listen to it, and then I don't listen to it for like 8 months. So
Nothing wrong with that, Nick.
nah, I mean, I don't like modern country.
Drinking Old Crow.
While drinking Old Crow. Something about those old school, country singers. They strike a chord with me. So that's what I've been into. And Larry, I know you got some good recommendations as well.
Yeah, and when you brought up The Great Outdoors earlier, it made me think of hot dogs and raccoons. So I think most of you know what I'm referring to there. But yeah, I've been going back and watching Stranger Things, started back over because I wanted to kind of rekindle all that. So I'm back in the middle of season 3 after completing it. I've been watching Westworld too, and then next Friday, my wife and I are going to a concert of a bunch of 90s bands. So we're going to see Soul Asylum and Sponge and the Nixons and Spin Doctors, and there's like 4 other bands. So it's either going to be amazing or a big disappointment.
It'll be amazing. So, it'll be a blast from the past. That sounds great.
No, you'll be rocking it. But that's not all. I mean, there's a special event. I believe something special that's going on today. It's Larry's birthday! Look what we got for you. Look at this special birthday tray here.
Look at that. I had no idea.
And we are not singing, Gary. There will be no singing for
Let's
this.
sing. Let's sing.
Are you 50?
He's getting close to his 50th decade. It's the only candle we could find.
Okay, well, I'm closer to 45 than I am to 50.
So happy birthday to Larry.
Thank you.
Send him some virtual wishes and gifts.
Nice going, Larry.
We love Larry, and we love the tray platter.
Thank you,
Hold that up to the camera. So
That's Eli. Eli, say hi.
Yeah.
This is Eli. He works behind the scenes pulling some of your questions.
I was wondering what the heck you were doing over there.
So what we got to do is hook some power to that woofer and launch the cake up.
Oh, yes. So that would be a lot of fun. There we go.
Good.
So keep an eye out later when we destroy that cake with some subwoofer demos.
We're going to take a bite of it first.
Yes.
That's B-stock. So we'll be selling those subwoofer driver cake platters, we'll figure out a price.
That's what you guys sent Vince out for earlier.
We're
I'm catching on now.
So happy birthday to Larry. That was all we wanted to do with that. So very good. But we do have an upcoming event, and we're probably not going to have another broadcast. I think we teased this on the last one, but Gary, tell a little bit about our audio advice live, where it is, what we're doing, and I can add some color about our demo systems, but I think this is going to be a very big deal as far as an East Coast audio show goes, and it's only doing it for the first time.
Well, first of all, North Carolina is a really exciting place for us to do an event. We have lots and lots of SVS community in North Carolina, and Audio Advice is a pretty legendary dealer. They're in Raleigh and they're in Charlotte. So we were really excited when they're doing an audio show a la Expona or the show we went to in Long Beach, THE show. They're doing their own in Raleigh, and SVS is exhibiting. We have a massive exhibit. Nick, I'm sorry, but I don't remember the dates. I know it's in August, but I don't remember exactly when. Do you have that?
Yep, August 19th through the 21st, that weekend.
Right. I'm going to be there. Larry, you're going to be there, right?
Yep. I will
Vince
be there.
and a couple others, right? Nick, are you there? You're not going to be there.
I won't
right?
be able to make that show, but I will be there in spirit.
Ken
And
Cadis, our director of sales, is going to be there.
We'll
So
have
they
a
know
nice
Ken. They know Ken from the Audiophile events we used to do at retail that we're going to be doing again.
And this is going to be a full-fledged audio show. There's going to be giveaways. There's going to be seminars. We're going to be in force. We're going to have multiple rooms up.
Well, we got asked
in the hotel.
by other brands if they would allow us or allow them to exhibit SVS in their booths, which what an honor that was, right? One of them was
JVC. They're using a
JVC.
brand new
So they're
video
gonna have a
projectors.
beautiful front projection-based home theater with SVS speakers and subwoofers in it. So that's pretty exciting.
Yep, Pinnacles with dual SV16 Ultras, Ultra bookshelves for the surrounds. I mean, this room is going to be killer.
Wow.
And then in our own demo suite and they're getting a full hotel. This is not something where they're doing it in their retail. It's just going to be too big. But we're going to have a Prime Pinnacle system with dual SP3000s, Ultra Center.
Which hotel is it? It's in downtown Raleigh. Do you remember off the top of your head?
Sheraton Raleigh Hotel.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you go to audiovice.com, you'll find all the details about this. It may be worth traveling into if you're not too far away, but definitely if you're in that area, you're going to want to check it out. It's going to be a killer show.
And Larry, you and I will be there, right?
Yep. It's going to have a grand old time there with some new team members that some of you have not met. So
that's right. So if you
too.
are able to make it, please do. They're an awesome partner of ours, and we're looking forward to exhibiting there. So I wanted to, share a little bit about a personal project that I have going on here. So if you just bear with me here for a second, we have in my household decided to build an addition onto our house. And basically what it's going to entail is a garage with a home theater above. So this is sort of where it stands right now. Not super exciting in these pictures, but it's all studded out and where it's going. So, I've been making decisions about what exactly I want to do with the system and how I want to set it up and the speaker placement and all of that. So I have a little bit of a graphic here that I can show. If you bear with me for a second.
You're all going to catch this. If you've been watching any of our social channels, you've seen Nick kind of sharing his progress on this. And now you're going to see the blueprint for the room.
But I think what's cool, I think what you guys are going to do is kind of show the sorts of considerations that go into speaker placement, subwoofer placement. I thought this was a fun exercise because I know that everyone's always thinking, hey, are my speakers, my subwoofers, especially my surround speakers, things I'm hanging on the wall, are they in the right place in the room?
This looks exactly like the types of diagrams we get from our customers every day, and we help them design out the system and where we should place the speakers and the subwoofer and the listening position. So this is right up our alley, and I'm glad Nick partnered with us on this.
Partnered? I mean, hey, who else am I partnered with? But no, this is basically a schematic. So the bottom level is going to be a garage. You can see a little mudroom here. But, it's going to be a room that's cut in half where basically you have an office and a little bar area over here. And this will be the home
you're going to have a bar?
Oh, I know. So it's about 24 feet long. This will be 14 feet. That's the home theater. So that's about where it starts. And Ed was already chastising me a bit. He's like, oh, you're doing it the long, skinny way. I guess ideally would be to do it, set it up on the vertical wall and give yourself more depth in terms of seating. But you know what? This is something that we deal with everyone when you're making decisions about building a home theater.
Life is full of compromises, and this is one of them. It's fine. I mean, you got an office, you got a bar, you want to have a home theater. It's got to be oriented this way. And
but Ed, and you may disagree with this because we didn't actually talk about this, but I have found that a lot of times, even though it doesn't allow as much seating, that when you orient it the way Nick is orienting it, you can create a better sonic experience when it's basically Nick is not using the full length of the theater, but on the other hand, he's able to create a controlled space on one side of it. I actually have seen that work really, really well.
Yeah, it's going to be.
You can tell me I'm wrong if you want it. It's okay.
No, the length of the room does lend itself, the width of the room rather, does lend itself to some favorable room acoustics as it relates to the subwoofer placement. So yeah, I'll give you that. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm going to dive into a couple questions, but we're about quarter into it. So I'm going to do a giveaway first before we dive into it. And then the first prize of the evening is our Prime Bookshelf speakers. And the winner of those is Jeremy Galante. Congratulations, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Got some speakers coming your way. Vincent,
you
get your information. So as I was laying this out, you can see I did some crude drawings here.
Can you blow it up a little bit?
Let's see if I can get this. Give me a hot second here.
I probably ruined it for you.
No, that's all right. That made it smaller. Yeah,
Forget
there we
I
go.
asked.
No, it's all good. We can go like that.
There you go.
How's that?
We are
A
high
little
tech
bit more, a
here.
little bit more. We don't want to see the bar in the
All right,
office.
all right. All right, so we'll keep it
There
limited
you
to
go.
right there.
That's
and then
better.
Let's see if this makes that go away. All right.
Nice.
So what we have here is hopefully a sectional couch, the little U shape there. So that's going to be the main seating area. But there was a couple questions right off the bat and considerations I had about placement of the speakers. The first one being the surrounds here. It's going to be a 5.2.2, so your front stage with dual subwoofers, and obviously I'll have 2 channels of surround speakers. And my question was first and thought was like, should I go with the prime elevations here or the ultra surrounds in the rear, just because of the way how close they are to the couch and the listening area. So I know what I wanted to do, but Ed, why don't you give the sort of technical or not so technical description of what type of speakers work well when they're that close to where you're seating and the height and all the different things you should consider.
Right, because there's going to be potentially people sitting anywhere on the sectional. We didn't want a speaker, blaring into somebody's ear. So this setup lends itself beautifully to the ultra surrounds. They have a very wide dispersion pattern and power response into the room, and it's not like they're going to be blaring into someone's ear. So that's the ultra surround works perfectly in this application, and I would mount them on the back walls, and you'll get a very diffuse sound field out of it.
So the other question and thought I was having is I definitely wanted to have Atmos speakers. I mean, come on, we're talking about
Of
Atmos and
course.
all the great content, and I would not miss the opportunity building from scratch. So placement of elevation speakers, it's a very, very versatile speaker. So I knew I could angle it in any direction I want. But with 2, there's often debate. Should I put them right on the front wall? Should I put them on the back wall? I opted for the ceiling. I feel like that creates the most immersive height effect experience. But where exactly on the ceiling do you put them? And I think that is where, I think a little bit of consultation with you was helpful. And I know, they're supposed to be as wide as the front left and right speaker. Like in an ideal scenario, you match them up with the width of the front left and right. But in terms of how far back in the room, you shared an interesting insight with me. What's your take on that?
When we're doing 2 overheads, in my experience, placing them just slightly forward of the listening position, maybe where your knees would be, gives the best sense of overhead height effects.
And you're aiming them into the room or towards the listener?
We want them towards the listener, so they'll be a mirror image of each other. And actually in this setup, orienting them sideways will be the best.
Yeah, well, because we're still in the studded out phase, I'm going to be able to hide all my wires, which I know everyone in my family is very excited about. No exposed wires. We're doing the whole.
Everybody?
I know. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I am. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't be. We're doing the whole back plate here behind the setup, so we'll be able to have all of that wire through the walls. So this is just a very rough sort of beginning stage of what we're thinking. But I thought for anyone who might be at this point in terms of building a home theater, whether it's in a retrofit or a new build, some of these little tips might be helpful.
And what's on the front stage?
Well, right now I'm going with Prime Pinnacle Towers Ultra Center, which is a reminder that you can blend between the 2 lines. They are timbre matched and voiced the
Great
same.
combination.
And then I love the SB3000 subwoofer. I mean, to me, it's right in the middle of all of our subwoofers. But I just think it provides the perfect, pound for pound just delivery of output and low frequency extension that, is just sort of a magic spot.
And this size space, the acoustics of this size space does lend itself to a sealed subwoofer. It'll sound very well balanced in that size listening space.
And you mentioned you do a lot of these with customers, Ed. So your team is interacting with customers that are calling us and that are showing you guys diagrams and probably doing some video chats.
Yeah, we would do a video consult with this, look at the layout, and talk about speaker placement.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. We had a comment from somebody today who I apparently had a video consult with one of our support members, Jeff, and it's something you all can do. You can bring a graphic like that to our team. They'll pop it up in a Zoom and take a look around your room with the camera and be able to give you all the advice that you need. So
they're a lot of fun. You get to see the system and the room live. If you're helping with setup, you can see the setup menus on the screen. It's just a fabulous value added for our customers, and I really enjoy doing them. And
Can you say how it works? I wonder to myself, does everybody really understand what it is, how we do it? Maybe I'm making it too, maybe I'm over explaining it, but can you give a scenario? Because I think it's worth knowing about. And by the way, because everyone always asks, do we charge for this? We like as if we're trying to pitch something. We don't charge for this. This is just to help people have a great experience.
It's a value-added service. So customers can engage the customer service team one of several ways. You can chat, you can call in by phone, you can email, and we added this service right to our customer center platform of a video consultation. So when we set up a video consultation, we actually email you the link. It's very much like a Zoom call or a Microsoft Teams call, but it's actually embedded in our support center, and it becomes a permanent part of your support history. And then we join the call, and typically it's system design or speaker or subwoofer placement or maybe system optimization or troubleshooting, or there's really no limit to how these consults are done, and they just add a huge amount of value because it's live. You can cover a lot of ground. You can make changes in real time and evaluate them. I have a blast doing them, and customers love it too.
Well, it's something that I know. Gary,
and we don't charge for it.
No, it's free.
We, part of my role, and I'm getting back out there, is going out into the stores and interacting with the staff. And I get the chance to run into some of you out there in the field too. And working with some of the designers in our stores, we get to see those graphics and the diagrams and the layouts. And it's cool to be part of that process because you do it once typically, and you don't do it again for a very long time.
We got some pretty
Larry, whenever we do, Nick too, whenever we do these shows, I mean, people come in and they're drawing pictures of their rooms, or they're showing us photos that they've taken of their rooms, and they want this kind of feedback. People really want to know, hey, what's the optimal way for me to orient my home theater or my 2-channel system?
And you can use your mobile phone as a camera. You can reverse the camera and show us the room and locations where you're thinking about putting your speakers or subwoofers or mounting brackets or whatever. You can show us the setup menu on your screen if we're going through optimization. So it's very flexible, very powerful, and it's a huge value added. And again, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Steve asked, what was the biggest obstacle or achievement so far in building the home theater? Well, I'm fortunate in the sense that I'm starting from scratch with the idea that this is going to be a home theater. So all the decisions I make are sort of feeding into that. I don't have to.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like I get to sort of decide around that. So really, I think, choosing which products I want to include has been, one thing that I'm not even done doing yet. But I think things like flooring, those will become something that I come up against here soon. But
color scheme.
Yeah, where to put the lights actually, because I didn't want any of the lights overhead to conflict with where I wanted my height effect speaker. So little things like that. But I'm just really fortunate that I'm able to build this from the perspective of like the home theater comes first, everything else is sort of secondary, and it makes it a much easier process. Now I know that's not the case with everyone, but ask me again in 2 months as we've gone through this a little more. And
you're going to help us. You're going to walk us through it, right? You can probably give us little progress reports in this upcoming happy hours too.
Yep, happy hours. Check out our Instagram reels. We'll do a couple of YouTube videos as it starts getting put together. So
what we should do? We should do a video consult of you and I setting up your system after it gets installed, and we can put it in our video library.
That'd be cool.
Reading my mind there.
Cool.
Well, you just ruined the surprise. All good.
I thought it was my idea.
No, it's all good.
You're miles ahead of me.
You can have credit. That's fine.
I said you've got parking below for your Lamborghini.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big secret. Nick has two.
My wife's RAV4.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for that. So we, I guess we're good with that. I mean, we're gonna have more progress
cool.
updates.
We're excited.
Hopefully that didn't bore people. But I think
later in the year, you guys are gonna help me redesign. We're shuffling bedrooms in our house.
Yeah.
So we'll go through some of that later in the year for my house too.
So changing subjects, on our last broadcast, we kind of got into the topic of blending speakers and subwoofers, but I feel like we left a lot out of the conversation. So, and also I think we didn't define fully what all the terms we were using meant. So I want to start just with that. When you're blending your speakers and subwoofers together, there's certain terms that may not be familiar to you. So
maybe I'll frame it up a little bit, and then Ed, you can help with getting more
Fleshing out the
specific in
detail.
the definition. When we're talking about a home theater, we're talking about a lot of different parts. And obviously we have full range speakers, which SVS we proudly make, but also subwoofers. And you want to have, but nobody wants to listen to a bunch of speakers and subwoofers. What we want is a total, seamless, convincing experience. And the way that we do that, there's a lot of different things. Obviously, you need to start with really high quality, precision, refined, high performance products. But then you also want to adjust certain aspects of their performance so they blend well together. And this is where the word crossover gets used. Now, here's the thing about the term crossover. And Ed, make sure I'm doing this in a way that you agree with technically. A crossover is very simply a device that takes the full range sound and divides it and directs it in different directions. And it divides it according to the frequencies. So when you hear the term crossover, you might be referring to the crossover inside of a speaker, something you would never even mess with, that's
Sure.
directing high frequencies to the high frequency transducer, also known as tweeter, mid-range to the mid-range drivers. If it's a three-way speaker, low frequencies to the bass drivers, also known as what? Woofers.
Woofers.
And the crossover sends the sounds there. But then another way of using the word crossover is the high pass filter and the low pass filters that we use outside of the speakers in order to adjust the performance of the subwoofer and the speakers to make a total experience. So Ed, I'm going to pass it to you, and maybe you can define low pass filter and where and when we use that, and high pass filter, which we don't always use, probably the least one that we use, but sometimes does come into play, so that everyone can understand what those terms mean.
Well, do we want to do? We can do an AV system first, or we can do a 2-channel system.
Well, let's first define, what does a low pass filter do? I think that's important to say.
A low pass filter, as the name implies, it allows the device to pass frequencies below the set point of the filter. So
that's the way to remember it. Low pass.
Right.
It lets the low frequencies pass. It doesn't let anything else pass.
Right. So let's say we have a low pass filter set to 50 hertz. So it'll pass everything below 50 hertz. And does it pass nothing above 50 hertz? No. It's not a brick wall. It's not like at 51 hertz, there's nothing. There's actually a slope associated with the filter. So say the slope is 6 dB per octave, or 12 dB per octave, or 24 dB per octave.
The higher the number, the steeper the slope, right?
Right. That defines how aggressively we're rolling off the response above the set point of the low pass filter. So say we have a 12 dB
All right,
low pass filter.
Before you go to the next sentence, I want to make sure we lock down what you just said. What you just said was the low pass filter sends only low frequencies, presumably to your subwoofer.
Yep.
And that is the area where we focus the most when we're helping people adjust their subwoofers. We're deciding what low frequencies are going to go to the subwoofer and what are not.
Correct.
Now, and Ed, you further refined the definition by saying you can actually set what's called the slope, which not every subwoofer brand offers that. We do, where you can literally say it's almost like a vertical wall at a very steep slope where we cut off, or it can be a gentle cutoff from the high frequencies to the low frequencies. Now, Ed, before you get any further refined in that, there is something we use not as often that's called a high pass filter. And where and when are we using that, Ed?
A high pass filter is essentially the opposite of a low pass filter. It passes everything above the set point of the frequency.
So just to remember, high pass filter passes only the higher frequencies. And the situation where you might use it is a scenario where a speaker is a smaller speaker and is going to be overpowered if you sent it the full range frequency. So instead of sending it everything, we send it only the frequencies above a certain range to protect the speaker and allow it to play loud without distortion. Would that be fair to say, Ed?
It is, and there's a filter associated with the high pass slope, rather, just like there is with the low pass. You can have a shallow slope or a very aggressive steep slope. So they're essentially inverses of each other. One passes frequencies below the set point, the other one passes frequencies above the set point.
So now to bring this to practical, when your home theater receiver is telling you that it's a large speaker or a small speaker, what it's really telling you is if it's a large speaker, it's not going to use the high pass filter or going to use it minimally, meaning it's going to send what it views as a large speaker the full range signal.
Right.
If it says that it's detecting a small speaker, then it's going to engage the high pass filter and send it only the frequencies above a certain range. Is that fair to say, Ed?
Yep, that's correct.
So we have a question on here from Chris G about what governs the slope pitch of the filters. Like, how do you determine what the slope should be?
Well, in an AV processor, the slope of the high pass filter, as Gary said, when you set the speaker to small, it applies a crossover to the speaker, and that high pass filter is fixed in most AV processors. It's 12 dB per octave on the high pass side. It also applies a low pass filter to the subwoofer signal, so the subwoofer will also play bass from that same channel, hence the term crossover, and the result is a seamless blend where it sounds like the speaker and the subwoofer are one full range device. But in reality, the speaker's getting high passed, the subwoofer's getting low passed, and that's your digital crossover in the AV processor. The low pass slope on the subwoofer is 24 dB per octave, and that is also typically fixed in an AV processor. If you want to talk about the low pass filter in our subwoofers in the menu, you have an option of picking 6, 12, 18, or 24. And I don't think anyone else offers that many slope selections.
And the benefit is that you can play with it and create the most seamless transition between your full range speakers and your subwoofer. Because one of the things we're the proudest of at SVS is that, yeah, we make great subwoofers, but they're part of the reason they're great is that they blend seamlessly with your full range speakers. And it might require a little bit of attention to get that perfect, which Ed and his team can help you with, or you can play with it and try different settings that make the sound the most convincing and believable.
So this is all through the app as well. We should mention that. This is all
right
done
through our app. That's a
it's
good
not on the back panel of the subwoofer. This has to be done through the SVS.
And if you're looking for a starting point, you can use the subwoofer matching tool on our website as well. And if you plug in the brand and the model of speakers that you have, part of the feedback that you get from that particular tool is it will show you crossover points, high pass filters, and also the slope that is recommended for those speakers as well.
So that's
before we continue, giveaway time. Giveaway time.
I'm
Keep that thought.
I'm holding it.
Well, I'd like to ask before you're going to do the giveaway. While you're doing that, I want to ask the community: are we getting too granular for you guys, or is this good information? And do you want us to keep going with it? Want to make sure that you guys are getting what you want from us as far as this whole show is dedicated mostly to a lightning round. So let's make sure it has good value.
So if we're too granular, you can put a bunch of Z's.
I'm saying wow, I'm saying good, I'm saying all good.
Put a bunch of Z's up there. That's right.
I know, but then good.
If we see a lot of Z's, you guys are asleep, and we know we got too much into the weeds.
All right. I think our answer, it's pretty, I haven't seen one negative yet. So let's get with the giveaway, and then let's get into the 2-channel home theater. And
we'll do 2-channel next.
SB-1000 Pro, next giveaway, our award-winning sealed cabinet subwoofer, and the winner is Curtis Austin. Congratulations, Curtis. Got yourself a new sub. All right. Where do you want to take this next?
Okay.
Well, so let's talk about 2-channel because it does create a little soapbox. Can I frame it up again? I'm sorry if I'm doing too much talking this time, but you got me on something I'm passionate about. In 2-channel systems, sometimes subwoofers got a bad name. There was a sense that they might be doing more harm than good. Yes, they're adding bass where there wasn't before, but maybe they're smearing the sound. They're not as detailed, and Here's what I say about that. I think a great subwoofer can make a 2-channel experience dramatically better, but it needs to be a great subwoofer in the sense that it goes deep, it's accurate, it's quick, so it can keep up with the full range speakers, and it has lots and lots of ability to adjust so that it's seamless with the full range speakers. And if you can do that, then you can have a phenomenally better experience than almost any full range speakers would give you alone in a 2-channel system. Ed, thoughts?
I agree completely. And it's a great segue to go from AV to 2-channel. In AV, we have a digital crossover. We have a digital high pass, digital low pass. It's splitting the signal. That is why we disable the low pass filter on the subwoofer when it's connected to an AV system, because it's already getting a filtered signal. In a 2-channel system, it's the opposite. Subwoofer is getting a full range signal, and so are the loudspeakers. So to Gary's point, now we get to use the onboard low pass filter that's actually in the subwoofer menu. And the question becomes, where do we set the low pass frequency and slope such that we achieve a seamless blend with the loudspeakers in the 2-channel system that are almost always running on full range, right? In a 2-channel system,
Yes.
full range loudspeakers. And the way we tackle that is as Larry said, we look at the brand, we look at the model, we look at the rated bass extension for that speaker. We look at whether it's sealed or ported, because that affects the roll-off slope. And then that's a great starting point for us setting the low-pass filter on the subwoofer. As Gary said, we want a seamless transition from the speaker to the subwoofer. And the best way to do that is to do your homework, do your research, and then start with a smart low-pass filter setting, frequency and slope, see how it sounds, and then tweak from there.
So here's a question from Gary Thompson. If he's using multiple subs in a 2-channel, are they always the same, the crossovers and the slope, or
The low pass?
Low pass.
In a 2-channel system with dual subs, yes. Both of them would have the same low pass frequency and slope.
So is there more we need to cover on this? I feel like there's lots of questions here.
Well, I think one thing is, now we've given everyone a language to be able to ask the right questions of themselves or of us when they call into us or chat with us. Now you understand what a crossover is. Now you understand what low pass is, and you understand what high pass is, and you understand what slope is. And when you start working with those different things, that's 90% of making speakers seamless with the subwoofer. 90%, that's a lot. So you have a lot of tools now, and you have the language that you need to ask us the questions that will get you the answers to get yourself to, audio nirvana. That's what you want.
And we do as much 2-channel setup as we do AV setup. We do a ton of 2-channel with our customers because of the reasons Gary stated. The subwoofer really can add a new dimension to a 2-channel system if it's properly integrated. My particular acid test is you should not be able to know there's a sub running in the system. It should just sound like the speakers gained additional extension.
They just got bigger.
Right. And
I agree with that. That's a great way to say it.
When you hit that seamless, perfect blend, it is audio nirvana. And you're like, man, this adds a whole new dimension to the listening experience without even saying. You never want to advertise there's a sub in the system. You just got that perfect foundation, solidity, low end, and a great blend with the speakers.
And it is fun when you have those moments, like if you're just having an experience, but then you have those moments. And I notice it more in home theater, I have to admit. Although some music now has 2-channel music has bass that's insane and really, really good. But when it's really working well, it's delivering this convincing total experience. But then something happens to engage the subwoofer in its deepest way, and you just get a grin on your face because you didn't expect it, and there's no way that could have happened if you didn't have a great subwoofer.
We get a lot of those aha moments from customers, and they'll write in and say, have you seen this scene or that particular passage from this movie? And I never realized how deep and meaningful the bass was in that scene until I got the system set up properly. And that's really gratifying from the support end for us, is to put that smile on everybody's face.
To have someone, after one of our shows or one of our events, whether we were in person or a trade show or whatever, tell us that they've never heard it that way, and then get excited, like you're saying, to go home and try it with all the stuff that we tell them. Because we have these same conversations with people that come to the events, and we will walk them through, like, okay, you're showing me what you have here. Here's some things I would try. And then we hear from them via email or a text or a voicemail, whatever. And they're giddy. And that's part of the fun of home theater and music, is sitting down and getting that smile from ear to ear and just kind of going like, man, that blew me away.
You shouldn't be in this business if you're not passionate about audio and movies and putting a smile on people's face and bringing passion into the industry.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So this is an interesting question, because I think it gives us an easy plug for our app and our custom presets here. But, if you have two different listening profiles, if you want to call that, what's the benefit with the app in terms of this question that Joey has?
This is a great one. It's a dual purpose system where it's AV and 2-channel, and actually it's 2 systems in one room. I love the app because you can have a custom set of menu parameters for your AV system. Low pass filters disabled. You have a certain volume setting, and you create a preset. Okay, that's my movie preset. And then you have another setting where you have the low pass filter turned on, maybe a different volume setting, maybe a different phase setting. You got the slope of the low pass filter, the frequency. Bam, you save that as another preset for music. You can instantly switch between systems at the touch of a button, and the subwoofer is doing exactly what it's supposed to.
Yeah, the 2 systems we have in our house, the living room downstairs is very family oriented, and we have a PB-2000 downstairs, and I've got a movie preset, which is just stupid, over the top, because if I'm watching with the boys, I want to hear things moving. Yeah, and I've got a story for that one, but I know Gary hates the Ninja Turtles, so we'll save that story for another time. But I have a movie preset, which is kind of stupid, loud, over the top. A TV preset.
I think the SVS community wants to understand why you, not so much that you like Ninja Turtles, but why you watch it over and over and over again.
Oh, we watch it over and over. The demo scene.
They would like to know.
We have a secondary preset. Yeah, if you've been to our demos, you know why. Because everyone comes in requesting it, because it's just a kick-ass demo.
It's punishment.
Everyone comes in. Wait a minute. I'd like to hear that. Everyone comes in requesting.
We don't go to a single show where someone comes in requesting it, right? I mean, it happens at every show. But
you said everyone comes in requesting Ninja Turtles.
No, we get it at every show.
Look at these comments coming.
See, look at that. So it is. It's a great. It is probably the most overpowering subwoofer demo you'll get.
Don't be dissing the turtles.
Yeah, that's right. If you're a Gen Xer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But we have presets saved for a movie because it's stupid loud. I want to sit down there and just be annoying and have my 3 boys and my wife down there and go crazy. And then we have a TV preset. And if you watch a lot of different things, you don't need that overpowering bass when you're watching the news or the kids are watching cartoons. Yeah, look at that. So some of these comments here are great. So
and then what about
creating this posse of people that are going to come and request?
So my 3rd preset is
put the haters
pretty much off, and that way the kids can go down there and play Fortnite and stuff, and we're not really annoying anybody. But
like late night listening is a common 3rd preset. Maybe you turn the sub down even lower than music. Maybe it's 6-10 dB lower.
Turn it completely off in some cases too.
It just mellows out the system, so you're not disturbing people in the house.
And if you've ever had to make manual adjustments to a subwoofer to get it dialed in just right, once you get it there, you don't want it to get messed up again and have to go through that again. And so when you have these different presets and you have different listening profiles, like I think we're talking about here, there's just nothing more valuable than being able to tap one button and be like, all right, it's synced.
Well,
it's awesome.
think 6 years ago, pre our app, how much more difficult it was to tune. You had to get up, adjust the knobs, come back.
Oh, wait, you had to be an expert in seeing things upside down and backwards.
And dark, and have a flashlight and adjust the knobs. So yeah, the world has changed.
It's been on our hit list for a while, and it's great.
Yeah, why weren't amp plates upside down?
Right.
All right, we got another giveaway. Then I'm going to surprise you guys with a quick segment that we're going to try to do here that I didn't prep you for, but I think it's an easy one. It's a softball. I'm going to ask you for your top speaker placement tips. We're all going to go around and give a tip, and then we'll keep going until we run out of it.
Oh, I got a good one, so I'm going first.
You must have a million. I'm going first, so you don't steal mine. But next giveaway is our Prime Wireless Powered Speaker Pair. Winner of that is Kevin Ramage or Ramage. Kevin Ramage, congratulations.
Love that
powered speakers coming for you. So, Ed, I guess you can kick it off, and we'll just go around the room here. Give me a speaker placement tip, and don't go too in the weeds here. Just keep it a high level.
Okay, center channel. Don't push it all the way back in the cabinet because you're going to get edge diffraction, and it'll sound like you're talking through a tunnel. Okay, so pull your center channel out. Make sure it's flush or even slightly beyond flush.
If you can see this one right here behind us, what we're talking about, where it's all the way to the edge
of the
furniture.
Edge of the
and
furniture.
That's probably the one we talk about the most with people.
All right,
that's a big one for me.
That's a very important one too. Is that center channel carrying all that output? I have a one that pertains more so to bookshelf speakers, but if you're going to have bookshelf speakers on furniture or on stands, always try to keep that tweeter at ear level. To make sure that you're getting the best sound possible and the best experience. So tweeters at ear level when you're seated in your listening position is an important factor.
So you shouldn't put bookshelves on the floor?
Don't put them on the floor. It's been asked.
Is that what the stands for?
The stands or the furniture. But, the closer you can get them to ear level, the better you're going to be.
It's a drop in good knowledge there.
So for mine, it would probably be the one I talk a lot about with people is placement of your Atmos and height effects. And most people start off with one pair of height effects. And I think the space we recommend to do that the most is typically in the middle of your room. Kind of split the difference between the front and the rear and maybe a little bit ahead of your listening position so that you get a great blend from front to back and everywhere in between.
Gary, you're up. Hope we didn't take all the good ones.
Well, I always think that the one you did, Ed, that's my favorite too, because no one ever thinks of it. But I do think that bookshelf speakers are a misnomer, and center channel speakers that are on shelves. Speakers that are on shelves, that's probably going to be the weakest link in your system. So the best thing to do when you have a bookshelf speakers that are actually on a bookshelf, in the UK, they call them stand mount speakers because they don't want people to put them on bookshelves. And they're probably right. But if you need to put it on a bookshelf, then I would pull it out to the edge of the shelf as much as possible. And if you have room to do it, decouple them from the bottom shelf a little bit by using some type of rubber. Ed, what's the word I'm looking for? Some type of insulation that's a 1/4 inch thick or more that just decouples them from that bottom shelf.
Yeah, decoupling like a little foam. I use actually foam or rubber furniture movers under mine. I actually have bookshelves on shelves in one of my system, and I do exactly that, Gary, to decouple it from the.
Of all the different things we do, those tips with how to deal with speakers on bookshelves are going to be the ones you notice the most.
It was like if anybody came to see us at Expona, we had a pair of bookshelf speakers that we could only place in a particular area on top of this huge marble piece of furniture, and to kind of help with some of the sound that was being negated by the piece of furniture, we actually put the isolation system under those bookshelf speakers.
So a couple of people were asking about the service that we offer in terms of the video consultations.
Put that question up there.
I can't post these are in the chat. So.
Oh, okay.
But they're you go to our support page. Just go to the support page on the SVS site. Gives you all the information you need. You basically just contact us and we'll set up a time.
That's a great comment.
Yep.
All you got to do is reach out to us any way that you want to, whether it's a phone call, a chat, or email. And if you're in live chatting, you can say, "Hey, can we switch to camera?" And a lot of times they can, right, Ed?
Yep.
Or if you would rather, you're not home or whatever, you'd rather schedule it, then we can totally do that as well. And I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but it was just funny to watch the questions of how much does this cost? How much do you charge an hour? This is just our way of one of our ways. There's a lot of other ways. We try to make sure you have a great experience and enjoy your system. It's not something we charge for.
Someone else asked, does your support extend to Australia? Of course it does. We support our customers worldwide. And then oftentimes when we book,
Ed, have we not helped people in Singapore, Malaysia, India, Spain,
all around the world?
And if there's a language issue or a barrier of some sort, we can work with one of our retail partners there and have them on board to help with translation or communication issues too. So we'll go out of our way to help everybody.
So this is a question similar, sort of in the vein of speaker placement. Magic Lakes, I'm assuming that's a real name. He says, gentlemen, using that term loosely, I'm trying to integrate an identical Ultra Tower as my center in an LCR. So that means he has Ultra Towers on the left and right as well. Yep. Should he tow in his left and right Ultra Towers, or should he have them firing straight ahead in this configuration?
I will say the LCR with towers is a cool setup. You have an identical one in the it's actually common with front projection, an acoustically transparent screen where the center channel plays right through the screen. But to answer the question, I personally am a fan of towing in the front left and right speakers, maybe 15 degrees. You don't have to have them directly on axis, but a little bit of a tow in, and then the center one obviously facing you straight on is what I would recommend.
And let me clarify something about towing in, and that was going to be my other tip, but we always talk about towing in, so I didn't feel like it was much of a tip. But the question might be, but people sit all over my room, so if I tow the speaker in, by the way, what does that mean, tow in? Well, the center channel, in this case, this person has a center channel of the same speaker. It's going to aim straight out. Then you have the left and right front speakers. Instead of having them aim straight out from the back wall, we angle them in towards the center of the room, just a little bit, 10, 15 degrees. And that focuses the image for the person who is sitting in the center of the room. But then the question might be, hey, I always have friends over, I have family watching with me. Would towing in be a good idea if people are sitting all over the room? And the answer is yes. And the reason for that is if you tow the speakers in, then imagine I'm sitting on the right side of the room and the right speaker is towed in. It's no longer aiming directly at me. It's aiming a little bit towards the center. But the left speaker towed in is aiming a little bit more towards me. In reality, the tow-in also benefits the person sitting on the right side of the room or the left side of the room, because now there's not one speaker aiming directly at their ear, blaring at them, while the other one isn't. In this case, neither speaker is directly blaring at them, and it's going to balance out the sound of the room no matter where you're sitting. So that's why I'm a fan of towing in no matter where the sitting positions are.
Well said. Yep. And I think there was a couple other questions about towing, but I think you covered all of them
we
with
hit
that,
all those
with that
right.
answer.
Yep.
But there's another one sort of relevant to speaker placement as well, and it's should the center channel line up with the front left and right? And it kind of goes to what my tip was about having the tweeter at ear level. In an ideal scenario, you have your center channel tweeter aligned with your towers or your bookshelf tweeter as well. You want that tweeter on the same plane, really, and you can probably explain better than I can why that's important.
Well, when there's a sound effect that pans from the left to the center to the right, you want it to be seamless in the horizontal plane and not like, say, your center channel was mounted above the television screen, it would bounce up in the air and then come back down again. So that's why you want all those at roughly the same level and also at ear level.
So one other caveat to that is
one point, though, Ed, and you can correct me on this. One of the benefits of having all three speakers essentially on the same plane, in other words, all about the same distance from your ears, is that you would not hear any level of even the slightest delay. But if it's a home theater environment, Odyssey and Dirac will make adjustments to account for any delay related to the distance of the speakers from your listening position. Would that be fair to say, Ed?
Yeah, time alignment is a fundamental part of running setup. All of the speakers are going to be different distances from the listening position, and the auto setup will actually measure how long it takes for each channel to reach, and then apply delays internally such that the whole system is time aligned. So to answer the original question, if the center channel is, half a foot behind the front speakers in terms of distance to the listening position, it's not a big deal because the AV processor will correct for that when you run auto setup.
But that said, if you do have to put it, they say you have a large screen, you have to put it much lower than what's on the front left and right. You can use wedges. They actually make wedges specifically for speakers, or even like a door wedge to angle it up if it's below, or find a way to angle it down if it's above. But I can't imagine you'd have a center channel speaker wedge there.
See, and I do in both of my rooms. My center channel, based on either the type of TV or furniture, it is above the screen. So I have to do some wonky stuff to compensate for that. But I've got it through the Odyssey correction, and the MCACC in the other room have really worked well.
It helps. It sure helps.
Yeah.
Well, it's your birthday, and I just realized I robbed you of the Larry's Movie Demo Minute. Oh, well,
here, we'll talk about it.
We got to give you your own segment on your birthday.
Yeah, so
it's blocking out all of our faces, which I think is just
that's
awesome.
kind of awesome. So
this is full branding for you here. So
before
we get to our final giveaway, Larry, what you got for us?
We've been trying to find something new at some of the shows. Been trying to find more concert discs, and during the time we've all been home, I picked up the Imagine Dragons Smoke and Mirrors concert experience, and it's a Dolby Atmos concert disc. And I was actually blown away by the production on it. I'm not going to say it's quite Hans Zimmer live in Prague, but it may be the next best closest to that. And they've done a phenomenal job of mixing the crowd, singing along with the band, the kind of funky instrumentation stuff they do with keyboards. You hear that in the front stage, height effects. And it's actually, the vocalization on it is phenomenal too. So it's something you should check out. It's not that expensive, and there's a version of it that comes with the CD as well. So
that band is just super creative.
They are. There's a few bands, and I've been on a Machine Gun Kelly kick recently. I don't know why, it just kind of happened. So I'm kind of hoping maybe he does something too.
The lead singer of Imagine Dragons is running SVS.
Whoa, little deep knowledge there. Only you would know.
I was wondering.
I should know this too.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Imagine Dragons, Smoke and Mirrors. Check it out. Great Blu-ray. One of the few Atmos mixed live concerts that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, we've been playing it at a lot of our shows recently too.
Very cool. Well, we still have a minute here. We can probably get to one more.
I didn't know that. The lead singer of Imagine Dragons has SVS, and the lead singer of Imagine Dragons, just for the record, he is Imagine Dragons. He writes all the songs. He is the band. So that's pretty cool. I did not know that.
Well, we were also excited to hear that
the violinist.
Yeah. We were also excited that Jack White has a pair of Prime wireless speakers too. So there's we learn these little things, and sometimes we forget to tell other people, but it's really cool to kind of get that kind of validation here once in a while.
And we just got I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Maybe I won't say it until I get his permission.
Maybe save that for later.
Sure, you can.
We got the lead singer of a very top Christian rock band who had bought all our stuff at full retail, and then just had some questions, and we figured it out. And I think they're the top Christian rock band on the planet. But I won't say the name because I don't feel like it would be. I don't remember getting a release to say it. But
well, we should limit to 2 name drops per broadcast.
2 name drops per show. Okay, maybe we'll have permission.
Sound a little too full of ourselves. All right. Well, real quick question, just because I think this is a very unique one that Ed, maybe you can answer. Bart Macaspach asks, the best way to secure speakers on stands if you're in an earthquake region without affecting the sound. Very deep question here.
That's a tough one. There's a couple ways to do it, but if you're in an earthquake region, I would say install threaded inserts in the bottom of the speaker, exactly like you see for the feet on our subwoofer, and then use a machine screw to come up underneath to attach it to the stand. That's a custom installation, but in an earthquake zone, it might save your speakers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people I've seen using straps around those too, but then you're still going to have to worry about the stand falling.
I like the threaded insert. It's invisible and it's strong and it looks nice when you install
Are
it.
you ever afraid of screwing into the cabinet though?
I'm not afraid.
Yeah. Well, see, you're a woodworker, so that's a little different.
Hang them from the ceiling,
Yeah.
earthquake putty. We're getting all sorts of great commenters there. So thank you. Final giveaway of the evening. This is a big one. PB-2000 Pro with our SoundPath Subwoofer Cable. And the winner of that is Devin Baracci. Congratulations, Devin
Awesome.
Baracci, man.
Congrats.
That is going to be a great
Devin.
Yay,
subwoofer.
Devin.
So just to tie a bow on things today, check us out if you're in the Raleigh area or you can make it out there August 19th to the 21st. Audio Advice Live. 2 killer demo systems or 3, I should say, that SVS will have set up at the Raleigh Hilton.
We have 2 rooms, right? We have 2 rooms, and then JVC has us in a full-on front projection room. So
We have
we'll
a
see everybody.
large-
I will be there.
A large 2-room suite where we're going to do 2-channel and then 5.2.2 and then the big multi-channel experience down with JVC too.
Yep. So Sheridan Raleigh, I should say, not Hilton. Sheridan Raleigh is where it's going to
Sheridan
happen. Our next broadcast looking like August 25th, same time, same place, although we won't be in Ohio together.
Same back channel.
Gary's invited us all back in September, so I don't know what day our team get together is, but maybe
That's
we'll have
right.
to be a happy hour.
Maybe we'll all be together. Are you going to come, Nick?
Well, I wouldn't miss it.
Can we
Come
fit
on.
four?
This is my second
That's
home.
exciting.
I don't think we can fit 4 people.
No, we'll have to divide and conquer
We'll
for
have
that
to leave
one.
Gary there.
Thank you to everyone. Phenomenal questions and comments. I hope you learned something. Gary, do you have a thought before we part ways?
No. I was going to say they're going to stick me in my hotel room again. Like
Just bring your Peruvian background there because we
Bring your-
can't
bring
knock
your
that
old
down.
tray.
I'll bring my tapestry. No one will know I left home.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Awesome
Bye,
questions.
everybody.
Great comments.
Bye.
We'll catch you.